Next part of Project 4 in Word involves manipulating this table under the lodge rates per night. There's quite a few things you can do with this or need to do with this. The first thing I want to mention, and again there's a couple ways to do this, is if you ever have a table, you can, a couple different ways, turn the lines on and off. One way to do it is using your border button. You can set your borders here. You can actually go into the borders and shading and change those, and we'll actually do that in a short little bit. But I just want to mention that because they mention under the design and layout tabs there's some guideline options as well. The first item I'm going to do as far as manipulating this though is show you how to widen a column. And a number of ways to do this. You can first of all do it manually just by grabbing hold of a line and pulling it that way. Another way to do it is if you highlight, sorry, not highlight, if you click on the auto fit button, it will auto fit your items to be as it interprets it should be. Now, that doesn't mean it's correct, but it's as it should be. So something you may need to do is you may need to come in here and still manipulate this a little bit, especially if you want this all to fit in one way. So depending on how it works out, you may need to take control a little bit, use auto fit, use your manual adjusting. You can also use your the width here to make your columns a specific width. Okay, so again, I'm not going to oversee and look at every one. If it looks correct, it's correct. Okay, so you make it look correct whatever method you use. I'm going to show you this. They want you to change the row height, and they'll demonstrate it this way. Is if I come in here, I can change the row height, and they want that to be 0.3, and that actually changes the row height. So using your items up here, just yet another way to do that. One thing they do want you to do though is using these alignment buttons. The align and center will put the contents of each cell in the middle of the cell. Okay. Now, just to kind of show you a few things here, they actually want, notice this cell here is white. I'm going to go under the design tab and I'm going to use shading, and I'm going to try to match up that shading color with the color from here. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make these all uniform. All right, it's good that they're uniform. Same idea though. I'm gonna highlight every other row. Now the way I'm doing every other row is I'm gonna highlight this row, hold down Control, and keep holding it down, and I'm gonna highlight every other row, and I can use my shading option to shade those as well. Okay, and that's just kind of a nice looking format thing. And again, if you don't have the exact color of tan or brown or whatever that is, I'm not going to nitpick. Actually, they have this one being a little darker, so let's make this a little darker just because, make it stand out a little bit. There we go, that looks a little better. If yours doesn't look exactly, I'm not going to, again, take points off. Let's see. There's also another option they want you to do is, excuse me, putting space between the rows. And this is done, let's see, is that done under cell margins? Yeah, you can put space between your rows, and they want that to be set at 0.02. That puts space between your rows, and that looks nice. They also show a way to change your column width. So in my opinion, that table looks pretty decent, but you may want to come in here and clean it up and organize these a little bit. You can make these to be the exact width. 0.95 I think is what they have it. Okay, and that looks, pretty good. I'm not going to, again, nitpick and say it's terrible if it's off by a millimeter or whatever, but make sure they do look pretty uniform and pretty well together. Now the last thing I'm going to do in this step is notice this recreation part I did in the last step kind of crept up into the next into this page. What I'm going to do is push that back down, A couple ways to do it. The easiest way is click before recreation, go to insert, and I'm going to insert a page break, and that will push everything after the cursor down to the next page. And notice it puts the page break in there. If I turn off my my paragraph button, you don't see the page break. You don't see the paragraph items. You don't see the arrows on the recreation. So just want to mention that, and it's kind of good to check out every once in a while. I'm going to save this, and then we'll wrap up this portion.